Okay, let's now get back to work on our project. So currently we have this form that when I submit it, it says thank you for submitting the form, but it doesn't actually respond to what I typed. It doesn't care what I type. It just says the same thing every time. So what I want us to do is whatever the user types here and submits, it should say, if I typed hello, it should give me the encrypted version of hello on this response page. And I'm not so concerned with this aspect of like actually embedding the answer directly in the page and having everything look the same. In fact, I think that might even be more confusing, at least for now. So we'll go back and at the end we'll make it look how they want us to have it look. But for now what I want to do is I want a page that when you first land on it, the text area is empty. Then you type it, you submit, and on this page it just says the secret message is this. In plain text, so not in a text area. So it's going to look different. The two pages are going to look different, but I think that might actually be a more straightforward and less confusing goal to give ourselves for the purpose of learning this stuff, and then we'll switch it back at the end. But for now, so we're just trying to get the encrypted message to show up on the second page, this page where we're handling the form, it's the submission of the form. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to get rid of these lines. We don't care about any encrypted messages here. If we're here, we know that this is the first time the user has come to our site, so there is no message to encrypt. And that's always how it was. I was just, the reason we had that stuff here earlier was just to kind of convince ourselves that we had successfully imported this Caesar code, but this is never where we wanted that encryption code to happen. Really, it's going to be here. So for now, I just have, it's just a blank text area inside of the form. Okay? So now we want the encrypted hello to show up here. And if we want the encrypted text to show up on this page, then this is the spot where we need to create it. So let's kind of bring let's bring that code back that we kind of deleted, that I deleted before. We don't know what the message is, but the encrypted message, once we have the message, we know how to encrypt it. This is the same line of code that I had before, Caesar.encrypt. We're going to call that encrypt function, and we're going to pass it the message and the rotation, which is 13 for now. And our response should say secret message, followed by the secret message. So let's go back. Try to guess what you think you're going to see here. So what we have now is the label, secret message, followed by the message, which is these question marks, which came from here, which of course they didn't get encrypted because they're not alphabetical characters. But if I were to do this instead, then we would see the encrypted version of that text. So that's all well and good, but instead of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, we want the message to be whatever the person typed. How can we figure that out? Well, so recall that the reason we're here in the first place, that this code is being executed in the first place, is that somebody sent a post request to the server where our app is running. And so in any of these situations, it's the same basic script every time. A request is coming in and a response should go out. And that's why, so the response going out, we've already seen, we have a response attribute and we can write to it. We also, it turns out, have access to the request that's coming in that we're in the process of responding to. And as you might expect, the way we have access to the request that came in is an attribute called self.request. So this here is an object representing the request that we are currently responding to. So in this case, on this post function that's responding to post request to this route, we know the context that we're in. We're in a situation where the user of our site somewhere in the world just submitted that form, and we're now getting the resulting post request. And recall I said earlier that the whole point of a form is that you can attach additional information to the request that you're sending out. And so here we are receiving that request, and so we're counting on the fact that additional information is in here somewhere, and our job is to extract it. So on the receiving end, on the back end here, we're receiving a post request that we know came from that form, and so we're going to look inside this request and hope to see the answer to our question, which is what did the user type in that text box or the text area. So we want to do something like self.request.figure out what the user typed in that text area. And we're going to say message equals that. The name of this, the real name of this is actually, and this is another one of those confusing names, simply get. So it's a function called get that actually takes a parameter and you pass it the key name. And so this we're going to have to coordinate with what we do on the front end. But so here the word get means get me the value that's associated with this key inside of this object. So in general, when you have a form, you have a bunch of these fields that the person fills out, and what you're going to do is you're going to associate a key with each of those fields, and then whatever the user adds or fills out for that field will be the value that gets associated with that key. So for example, we might also, in just a hypothetical scenario, say username equals self.request.get, and that means give me the value for the key username. So this is saying, what did the user type in the text box that represents their username? And you might have a bunch of these, another one for password, etc. And in our case, we have this one. We actually don't have more than one. We only have one field in our form, and it's this text area. And I'm just giving it the name message here because that seems to make some sense. You type a message in there, and then you want the message to get encrypted. So this is the key name that I'm making up. I'm also using it as a variable name here. But the important thing is that I'm expecting there to be a key value pair inside of this request object where the key name is message and the value is whatever the user typed in. So this is the line we need here, and if I just do this, it's not going to be enough. And let's see what happens. If I just do that, we get nothing. Oops. Even if I type something, we don't see anything here. And that's because I have to go back and actually edit this form and add one thing to tell the form that this thing should associate its content with the key name message. So I need to hook up the word message. I need to associate that on both ends, both this side of things on the client side in the user's browser where the form lives. We need to attach a key value. We need to set up a key value pair with the key name message, and that's going to result in the request that ultimately gets sent. It's going to result in making sure that that request contains a piece of information with the key name message. So that's what we have to do on this end. On the other end, where we receive that request and are trying to process it, we have to go and look inside the request and extract the value associated with that key. And that's what I just did here. So I kind of worked maybe backwards in that first I did this step. So this step at this point should be good to go. We just now need to go and add something to our form. And I'll tell you what that is. All we have to do is take the field we care about, which in this case is the text area, the element that we care about, and give it a name. So the name attribute allows you to associate a key value pair in the resulting HTTP request that's going to get sent out. So it seems that the Chrome isn't allowing me to edit the name attribute of this text area in real time here. So I'm going to go and just do it for real, in real life, in our web app here. So same thing. Let's refresh the page now. So now we can see this text area has an additional attribute associated with it, the name attribute. And we say the name of this thing is message. So what we're saying here is essentially, when this form gets submitted, I want the HTTP request that's about to be sent out to have a key value pair where the key name is message and the value is the content that was typed into this text area. Now if the user types something, we should see the resulting message. So, and that's because I had already written this part, which says I'm receiving a request. I'm going to look inside that request for the key name message, and I'm going to store it in this local variable. And now, so now this is equal to hello. This is equal to urib, and then we're just writing the content that we want the person to see. And one thing we can do that's really nice is we can actually see this process happening in the network tab of the developer tools. So if I go over here, I can see here's a list of all the network traffic coming in and out of my visit to this page. So I'm going to start over. So we see that one request was made to the home page. Now, as soon as I submit the form, fill out something and submit it, now the resulting, so the page refreshed, or I ended up on a different page, so then the previous request was cleared, and this is actually a different one. If I click on this, this is the this is the request that resulted in us being here. I can click to expand this, and I can see in this headers tab, this is all the stuff that's attached to that request that gets sent out. And you can see there's a lot of things. Here's some of that basic stuff we've talked about before. The status code that came back was 200. The method was post. The URL was localhost at the port where our app is running. Then there's these headers that are automatically given some default settings. Then there's this. And this is, of course, the one little piece of information that we care about in this case, that we manually attached to this little unit of communication that's happening here. And this is, you can see, given it's under a category with a name that makes sense, form data. So this is all the stuff that we attach to the request by way of it being an input to a form that was submitted. And in our case, there's only one, and it's a key of message and a value of hello, because the person typed hello into the text box with a name attribute of message. So long story short, whenever you want to get information from the user, you build a form, and each field in that form should have a name that you decide. And then later, when you're receiving the request that came from the form submission, you simply have to look inside of the request by saying request.get, and then putting in the same key name that you specified for the name here. Next thing I want to do is, instead of hard coding 13, I want to give the user the opportunity to choose what the rotation amount is going to be. So that's going to involve two things. One, we're going to have to add another field to our form. So we don't just want this text area, we also want some other input so that the user can input a number. So we're going to add that to the form, and then over here we're just going to figure out what number they chose and plug that in to this function. Simple as that. So let's go ahead and do this. It's going to be easy. Watch this. We're just going to make another input. I'll say rotation input equals an input field whose type, I'll say number. There's a type called number that allows you to type stuff in a text box, but there's also little up and down arrow buttons on the right hand side so you can toggle an integer number up and down. Just start with that. Oops, and I have to add that somewhere. Input, what is it? Rotation input. And looks like I messed something up. Something with a plus sign. Yep. It's easy enough. Okay, here we have it. Very ugly, but here is a place where the user can tell us how much they want to rotate by. The other thing I'm going to do is give this thing a name. Give it the sensible name of rotation. So nothing's going to look different after doing that, but what this allows now is that now over here, when I'm receiving the request that came from this form, I can figure out what they typed into that input field. So I'm going to make a new variable called rotation, and it's going to be equal to request.get give me the rotation value. That's all we need to do there. So this is going to be 13 or 2 or whatever the person typed in there. So now instead of just hard coding 13 here, I'm going to plug that in to my encrypt function. And that should be everything we need to implement that new feature. So let's just try 1. And this should, of course, break because I made a mistake, which is that this is currently a string, so I need to convert it to an integer. And there we have the encrypted message. Let's try again. We'll do 4, and everything shifts by 4.